Merry Christmas. On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino, we've got your Armed Forces Bowl preview. That's right, it's OU versus Navy. And that's it. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Also, head over to okbreakdown.com for all of our stuff in one spot. All right, our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Wednesday, December 25th. Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. And you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted the OKC Metro's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack match roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards. Merry Christmas, buddy. Let's go.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. What a year. Let's cap this thing off with the W.
I hope everyone has a fantastic time with family and friends. Christmas time, there's nothing like it. The vibes are so high. Let's not ruin it by going and losing to Navy, shall we?
Let's not.
Let's start on the defensive side of the ball for the Sooners, Ted. What are you watching for from OU's defense against a Navy offense that throws a whole lot at you?
They do. It is it's actually, if you're not playing against them, it's a lot of fun to watch. The way they do things is actually really cool. Defensively, I know we've heard this over the last, month or however long. It's responsibility football, and they are really going to test everyone's eyes. They're going to test communication. They're going to, you better know your own system and how to adjust and how to line up, because they're going to throw a bunch of things at you. It's not as easy as, a lot of what we see, throughout a typical year is a shift, a motion, and then they'll run split zone or power against you. Now you'll get, with Navy, you'll get a shift, a motion, and then they'll run a option play at you where you originally lined up, you're the quarterback player. And then they shifted, now you're the dive player. And then they motioned, and now you're the pitch player because of the way that your defense has to adjust to it. So there's a ton of moving parts to it, and really they run two offenses is how I view it. There's two offenses. There's their wing tee option presentation, and then there's their more, contemporary offensive presentation. And they move between the two fluidly. They'll line up in, a wing tee formation, whether it's just like a traditional or a flex wing or a slot wing or whatever, but they're under center and they've got that presentation, and then they'll shift into a more contemporary offense, and you think you're out of the option world and into the other, kind of contemporary offense, but then you'll get an option look out of that. So they throw a lot at you. Some of the run concepts I really love, which, before I talk about a lot of those, we mention this a lot whenever we're talking about offenses. What do we love about good offenses? The way they build it, right? You have a run game, and then you build play action off of that run game. And then you build, counters off of some of that stuff. And they do it flawlessly, brilliantly. They have pretty much off of every run, they will have a counter to that run. Then they'll have a play action off of that run look. And then they'll have a play action screen, like throwback screen off of that look. They throw a bunch of screens, a bunch of different ways. So the the guys on the backside are always threatened to stay home because of the screen. What does that do? It slows down your pursuit to the football. Every time you think you can turn and run and chase the football, as soon as you do, they're throwing the screen back the other way. And the quarterback runs it so much that, it's rarely do you get like just a straight handoff out the front side to where, okay, we can turn and pursue. It's usually some type of quarterback run where he can always pull it and throw a screen on the back side. They mix in RPO stuff as well with it. So it's just, there's a ton of stuff from what they present to you, which creates it's wild. It's fun to watch, and I imagine it's really fun to play against it as long as you are prepared and know what you're doing out there. I think it's going to be a fun challenge because physically, matchup wise, across the box, we win matchup wise, right? Just man on man, 11 on 11. I would take Oklahoma on every matchup, but it's not that easy. They know that you can win those matchups. So they throw a lot of stuff at you, and it's really interesting.
This defense's issue this year, which it's been a very solid defense for the Sooners this season. The big issue has been some of the stuff in the passing game. Does that concern you at all with what Blake Horvath can do as a passer? Because you got to feel pretty good about, even though they're going to throw so much at him, OU's been really good against the run this season.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything that Navy does in the passing game that really concerns you?
Yeah.
Well, dang it, Ted. You're scaring me.
My notes on the pass game, which I'll tell you some of the passes that I've seen. They'll sprinkle in some max protection, play action, just one receiver route, right? And they'll run like just a one receiver. They're blocking with 9 guys. You got the quarterback off of some type of play action. You got a one receiver route out there, and they really like post corner stuff, deep routes. But option pass, where it looks like option, and then he drops back, and you'll have like a little route combination down. They'll run a lot of sprint pass, but every option pass has a throwback screen on it. Every sprint pass has a throwback screen on it. They'll run like 3 level off of like a jet sweep action. I get my note on the passing game is the passing game is still primitive. It's an option team, but it's effective because everyone's lost and their eyes are in the backfield watching everything that's happening. And by the time like you look and you see the play action and you shuffle around, it's like, shit, it's pass play. And, everyone's scrambling to go cover their guys. And then so everyone's turning and running away from, the quarterback, and then he'll just pull it down and run because everyone is scrambling to go cover their guys. So it's a constant search for where the football. Like, I'm not worried about guys getting beat in one-on-one. Yeah, they may make some great throws and great catches. That's going to happen. But coverage-wise, I think we'll be fine as long as our eyes are in the right place. And, that has really our trouble has been losing guys, not really necessarily getting beat. We got beat by some like first-round type of wide receivers, and they're not going to have that type of play. But we have been beat because of our eyes and because of miscommunication on the back end. And, you know, for one of the shifts I wrote down, um, they start off in wing T and they've got this false motion. So they come up, they get to the line of scrimmage, they line up in wing T, and, he's under center. And here we go. The way all the wing T starts, it's almost always got some type of motion to build into the option. So they're up there. Here they go. Boom, here comes the motion. They're seeing how you move your defense, and then they'll just stop, right? And he'll walk back to where he started, and they'll get a play in, and they'll take advantage of however you were going to adjust to that. But, whenever those motions come across, it changes, like, who's the deep third player, who's got the shallow crosser, like how you're reacting to some of those things. Billy Bowman's not going to be in there, right? He's our most experienced safety. So I am worried about losing some of those guys because of all the window dressing and leaving the free runners down the field.
I think the same thing can be said about the inside backer spot. We feel, I think you and I both feel really good about Kobe McKenzie and Kip Lewis. But Stutzman's not going to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, how many times have we seen over the last couple of years him just getting everyone lined up?
Yep.
And that voice, like that knowledge, a guy with all of that experience, he's not going to be out there. And I think the argument can be made that this is the most challenging offense that OU has seen in a long time when it just comes to getting lined up.
Yep. Which, I think that would, and maybe it would be the same even with Stutzman if he was playing, but I imagine you're going to have a very limited call sheet defensively. Some of the run stuff, they do a lot of things I really like. They'll do old school. It's quarterback lead week, but it's just old school. It's like I formation lead week. They're comboing up, ISO in the backer with the fullback, except they do it with the quarterback and they block it up really well.
I can only imagine how much you love Teska 46.
Yeah,
Guy is he's a damn football player, man. He's like their fullback. He's like their dive guy in the triple option stuff. He also gets out on the edge. He'll be the motion guy and he'll be blocking the perimeter on some of the option stuff. They line him up at running back. They throw it to him out of the backfield, in the flat, in the middle of the field. He'll line up in the slot. Like the guy is everywhere for them.
It's almost like it's like a big portion of their guys are all interchangeable. Like you could play them at all those different, wing positions and running back positions. They run the GT counter, but they do it off of a motion. And I mean, I didn't know what else to call it except for like low GT counter. So instead of just the guard and tackle pulling, they start with like a wide receiver motion and they snap it right whenever he's right outside the core. So the receiver is the first to lead around, and then you've got the guard and tackle. You got three guys leading around, and it's adding another gap on the front side. And the way that they sequence plays is great. Against Army, they come up and they're in the wing tee and they run a jet sweep. And, it's just such a quick hitter. They hit him for like 8 yards. Well, they just walk right up to the line of scrimmage again. They flip the formation, and it's like, hey, we got 8 yards on the jet sweep. We're just going to run it again to the other side. Under center, here comes the jet sweep motion. Boom, snap it. Fake the jet sweep and run the flip to the fullback out the back door. And it's like they've got everyone running everywhere. You'll see some zone insert stuff. They'll run like traditional quarterback power, inside zone. A lot of the option stuff, whenever they've got displaced wide receivers, they'll give you speed option. They'll give you load option, lead option, and then they'll have a reverse player come. Well, he'll just flip it to the reverse, or he'll fake flip it to the reverse. So there's always a counter. There was, whenever we see people run this where they do the it's like a midline zone read where the back is running the wide and the quarterback is reading the backside inside tackle, so he'll be reading that guy and they base block the defensive end and they'll sift the tight end up to the safety, and it's the quarterback and a defensive tackle. And Horvath is solid. Triple option with a load, fullback dive off jet sweep action. Um, they'll run RPO stuff. Like I said, they run split zone, and the wing guy, they're running split zone. The wing guy looks like he's blocking, but it's a RPO. The center's like 9 yards downfield blocking, and they run the will down the sideline for a touchdown on an RPO. Um, it's just a lot of stuff, man, but it's effective, and it all goes through Horvath. And he's a solid player. He's pretty big. He's physical, but whenever he gets in open space, he's still an elusive player. And like I said, in the pass game stuff, because of all the misdirection and you're worried about all the run stuff, there's a panic to turn your back and get to coverage. And by the time you turn your back, he's already pulled it down and he's running at you.
He throws it better than the typical triple option quarterback.
Yep.
He does. He throws it well. They don't do a ton of like drop back, but they even have some drop back game
Yeah, they
in
do.
the offense. So
they like to get five guys out. They'll run a lot of check down stuff and use those backs, like I said, that are all interchangeable to run. They'll run check downs. They'll run Texas routes, angle routes on you. Yeah, it's like I said, it's. I consider it. They have two offenses.
Heidenreich, just all time football name. And
Yep.
guy's a good player, good athlete. Just they got a couple of guys in their skill group that they're not burners, but you can tell they're tough as hell and they're just good football players.
Yep.
But it does feel like the key to this whole thing for OU defensively, it's limit Horvath. And that is much easier said than done. But we saw the best teams that they played this season were able to do that. That's and he was banged up a little bit throughout the year, but that's the key is if you slow down Navy's quarterback, this offense, then it just really doesn't go the way that it needs to go.
Yep. The main things that worry me are like the throwback screen stuff where, we get enamored, we're chasing down the play front side and they have throwback screen stuff. And, some of the pass game that's created off of the motions. And we, have a mix up in responsibilities and we give free runners. Like, to me, those are the two major things. I think we'll be okay in the run game. They're going to hit on some stuff just because they're going to throw such a massive plays at you. There's going to be new stuff that we didn't practice against that's really easy for them to install. And it may take us a time or two to see it before we get it all straightened out over on the sideline. But the run game it is not what worries me. It's the throwback screen stuff, allowing free runners in the pass game, and the quarterback pulling it down on pass plays and getting out in the open on us.
I'm trying to remember the last time where we did one of these and you didn't say, I feel really good about it.
I feel good
Because you
about it.
you have not said that yet, my friend.
I feel good about it.
It's a weird matchup. It's a unique preparation. You're missing your vocal leader in the secondary, your vocal leader at linebacker. I mean, it's a weird matchup. And this is, in my opinion, this is the most creative option based offense I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And we know how these teams operate. Even though there's like a newer feel to it, the older concepts are still there, and we know that they're going to probe around, and if they find your weakness, they are going to make you pay. And a lot of time it's the fullback dive. If it feels like the sky is falling when they're getting 3 yards a carry on the fullback dive. And it doesn't take very long before everyone else on the team starts to say, we're not stopping the fullback dive. I'm going to help a little bit on that instead of just bailing out to go to my responsibility, and they will absolutely turn your lights out. They're waiting to find the weakness that is small. It's 3 or 4 yards, but it feels like they're just killing you with it. And guys start to lose faith and not trust one another. And that's whenever they'll start to turn your lights out with the big chunk plays by using it against you.
Well, I think you've scared every OU fan on Christmas, so congratulations.
Hey, back to the original point, though. Man for man, the matchups massively favor us. And you just look, teams that defend it well, like Notre Dame totally shuts them down. But Notre Dame plays these guys every year, right? They know option football. They play a lot of it every single season. Tulane beat them 35-0. Now, Horvath goes down in that game, and that's a huge factor. But if you play responsibility football, they're very good at with all these run concepts, creating one-on-one plays. If you make those one-on-one tackles, you'll be okay. You got to put them in 3rd and long, and that's whenever you win.
This is a part of it. You got to come excited to play.
That's what I said. Like, I would love to play against this because to me, it's memorization. Like, you can memorize this offense on defense to where you know exactly where they're taking you on every play. You've seen it all. You know it. I mean, there's a lot, but there's not really a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's all in front of you. And as a linebacker, you can have a big day. As a defensive lineman, you can have a big day.
You got to show up. You got to match the physicality and match the excitement and the energy because Navy is going to be fired up to play Oklahoma.
Yep. That's right.
And you better arrive to that stadium in Fort Worth with that type of mentality. You better be fired up to play Navy. Right. I know it's the Armed Forces Bowl. I know it's not where you wanted to be. But if you show up and you are not on edge, they will beat you.
That's right.
Now that Teddy has scared all of you about the defense, let me restore some of hope and talk about the offense against Navy's defense. But first, hitting the highway, remember to stop at Love's Travel Stops. You can't miss the heart of the highway. And with the Love's app, you can also save big. How big? 10 or 15 cents big. Save 10 cents per gallon on gas and 15 cents per gallon on auto diesel. Save with the Love's app today and be welcomed by clean places and friendly faces. Certain conditions may apply. See loves.com for details.
Who doesn't love a beefy deal during the holidays? At Didier Ranch, they are bringing their beef in a box full of deals. When you order on DidierRanch.com, you will get free shipping throughout the holidays. And if you use code Oklahoma15 at checkout, you'll also get 15% off your order. Get Oklahoma's finest beef when you order from Didier Ranch. Didier Ranch, tradition tastes better.
And we are brought to you by Simple Modern, the official drinkware partner of the OU Sooners. This holiday season, get every Sooner on your list covered with Simple Modern's holiday gift guide, sure to make everyone feel holly jolly and bright. Head to simplemodern.com to check out gifts for everyone like drinkware, totes, kids gifts, and all your favorite licensed character merchandise. And now, with Simple Modern's new personalizer, you can create personalized gifts with just a few clicks. With 10% of all Simple Modern profits going to charity, you're also spreading holiday cheer all over Oklahoma and beyond. Simple Modern. It's good everywhere.
Schwab Meat is making Friendsmas more fun with another NIL partnership for the holiday season, starring Billy Bowman, Jada Coleman, Kobe McKenzie, and Kinsey Hansen. Schwab Meat has been smoking the highest quality turkeys and hams for your special holiday meals since 1912. Every Schwab ham is cooked and smoked over real hardwood hickory for 10 hours. Make your Christmas meal easy this year by ordering your holiday turkeys and hams online at schwabmeat.com. Get free shipping online orders over $75 with code OKBreakdown. Schwab Meat, the official champion of the holidays.
Okay, some things to watch for OU's offense versus Navy's defense. First of all, Navy, just like they have two different offenses, they have two different defenses. They are a 4-2-5 defense that can jump. You've heard me say this all year long, basically. Odd spacing, even spacing with their four down guys, bounce back and forth, but play a blend of some cover one and then a bunch of different zone coverage variations. But they also can jump into a three safety defense where it looks very, very different structurally, and a lot of things they do on the back end change. So, first of all, I don't think Navy is going to believe they can just play some base defense and hold up against Oklahoma. I would expect quite a bit of movement. Maybe they decide to heat Hawkins up and bring a lot of pressure, but I don't think it's an overly talented group for Navy on defense. And frankly, I don't think they're very good on defense. Now, I do think 44 Colin Ramos at the inside backer spot, Ryan Lane the third, 18 at safety. I really like him. I think that guy can really play. Those are their best players. Justin Reed, 94 at the edge spot, looks the part. But for me, the number one thing I'm watching is Oklahoma's offensive line. I feel like some of the guys got better down the stretch. We've talked a lot about Logan Hallen and Heath Ozida, Troy Everett. Those guys progressed at the end of the season, and Navy, they're undersized on the defensive line. They're tough as hell, but they're undersized. They're not very big, and OU's offensive line has to come out and move those guys off the football. I don't care if it's zone stuff. I don't care if it's gap scheme stuff. Like, you have to move these guys off the football. And that's what I want to see. I want to see that offensive line, especially all those guys that are going to be back next season. I want to see those guys moving that defensive front from Navy because they should. And, 96, Landon Robinson for them, he's a good player. But he's not anywhere near some of the defensive tackles that OU has seen this season. He's just not.
Right.
Like Justin Reed on the edge, he's a good player. But the Sooners have seen first rounders on the edge throughout the season. He's not that. So it's all about being ready to play, having the right mentality for this game, and then going and getting after their ass. That is what I expect. That's the number one thing I'm watching for, Ted. And then I'm excited to see Michael Hawkins Jr. play. And I think the thing I'm most interested in seeing is if there are any noticeable differences in his fundamentals. Mm-hmm. Ben Arbuckle is here. Ben Arbuckle is the quarterback's coach for this game. Now, he's not calling the plays, but from what I've been told, Arbuckle's he's like a details, fundamentals type quarterback coach. And he brought the other guy with him, right, who really is into that stuff. I thought before Hawkins got replaced by Jackson Arnold, I thought his fundamentals, especially in the passing game, got a little wonky. I sent it to some QB guys that I trust, and the phrase that multiple guys use was, hey, his feet are disconnected from his upper body. Mm-hmm. And like something wasn't matching up there mechanically. So I'm interested to see, are there any noticeable differences in his fundamentals at the position? Because that's what Arbuckle, that's what he does, from what I can gather. So that's something to keep an eye on. And I just think that if the offensive line takes care of business, Ted, this should be it should be a solid day offensively for Oklahoma. But you're going to get limited possessions, most likely. Mm-hmm. This could be the shortest OU game in a very long time.
All right. Yeah. And I think that because of their style, it's critical to get off to a fast start on offense. If you can go, let's say you take possession of the football first, if you can go punch one in, go right down the field on them, score 7, and then get a stop and go do it again and get a two score lead, it totally changes the whole dynamics of the football game in your favor in a huge way.
No doubt. One other thing before I get into some run game thoughts. Navy's defense has had a surprising amount of trouble getting lined up when teams are playing with tempo. So that's just something to note. We haven't seen we've seen the Sooners go fast at times this year, but I don't know. It would not surprise me with the way that Navy has struggled with some of that stuff at points in time if we see them go fast on some drives. And I'd be interested to see how effective it'll be. I know that that's not something that you and I are in love with, but they have quite a few snaps where a team's going quick and they're still looking at the sideline trying to get the call.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see how much tempo Joe John Finley wants to dial up as he's calling plays for this game. Some run game thoughts. Navy is going to stem their defensive line before the snap. You cannot be surprised by it. It is going to happen. It may not happen every snap, but it's going to happen quite a bit. They're going to show you one picture along the defensive front. Then they are going to move. You have to know when you get up to the line of scrimmage and you've gotten the call, this is what I do if it looks like this, and this is what I do if it looks like that. You have to be able to process that all very quickly when the picture changes. It's going to happen. You cannot be surprised by it. You've got to be ready for the internal twists from Navy's defensive line. They've done it quite a bit. And like I said earlier, I don't think they think they're going to just be able to play straight and hold up at the point of attack. When it comes to what OU's going to do in the run game, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Split zone, counter, some pin pull, some all the read run game off of it, some RPO stuff built off of it. The one thing I'm really, really interested to see run game wise is if we see some more QB run game. I know Arbuckle isn't calling the plays. I get it. But we all know what that has looked like for John Mateer at Washington State this year in the run game.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of it. And a lot of it's really good. And Michael Hawkins Jr., he can run. So do we see them get to a bit more QB run game? And when you think about Hawkins' strengths, like get him out on the perimeter. He may not be your quarterback power guy, but just some zone read, getting him out in space, some QB pin pull, which has been a good play for Washington State this year, where he's getting out behind pullers on the edge of the defense. I hope we see some of that. That's some of the stuff I wanted to see earlier in the season when Michael Hawkins Jr. was the starter. So I'm hoping that Ben Arbuckle kind of goes, hey, let's play to this guy's strengths as a runner, and that we see some of that in the game. Only time will tell.
Well, I mean, it would stand to reason what our offense became the back half of the season with a lot of that quarterback run stuff is not a whole lot different in principle than some of the stuff they did with Mateer at Washington State. So, yeah, it wouldn't shock me if we saw a heavy dose of that for sure.
Even with the QB counter read stuff, a lot of times it's hitting pretty wide. Like, it's not like you're asking Michael Hawkins Jr. to become an A-gap runner. But that's not what's going to happen. So I think that they can get to a lot of that, and they've had all of that in. I mean, just go back to the Bama game. We saw a lot of creative stuff with the quarterback-driven run game. So I'm interested to see how much we see of it with Hawkins back there at the quarterback position. With the tight end and wide receiver situation going into this game, you got to assume that 21 personnel will be a pretty significant part of the plan. two running backs out there on the field. And I've liked some of that stuff that we've seen throughout the season. Whether that's, and I don't know Javonte Barnes' status for the game, whether that's Barnes and Robinson, Tatum, who knows? But you don't really have any tight ends, and your wide receivers are all in the portal going somewhere else. So, not all, but it it is what it is.
Do you think we see some Devon Mitchell at all?
This is the way that I've viewed it. I'll be really, really worried about his future at OU if he's not playing in this game. I
Yeah.
think that's fair, right?
Yeah.
Bauer Sharp is gone. Jake Roberts, I would assume, will get a lot of snaps, but he's not going to be here next year. If Devon Mitchell can't get on the field for this game, then that's very concerning for me.
Not worried about a red shirt. There's, I'm with you. I mean, you would think like someone's going to have to show, whether it's Caden Helms, whether it's Mack, like someone's going to have to show up. With as much 12 personnel as we've run this year, I would be surprised if we didn't see it at all. Just to kind of like, I mean, let's not forget that Arbuckle's there. He's coaching quarterbacks, but he's also throughout these bowl practices and this game, it's an evaluation period to see what we've got at some spots.
The tight end room is not where you want it to be. In let's just be real. It's a weak room. If Devon Mitchell can't get on the field at all for this game, that's extremely alarming to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think that's an overreaction. I know he's young. I know that he ended up reclassifying. He's really young. I get it. But if you look at the tight end room, if you are a 5-star talent, you should be able to get on the field in this situation. I think that's very fair. So we'll see. But yeah, I could see 21. Maybe you're right. Maybe I think throwing out of 12 would be a good mentality because Navy, when you get in 12 personnel, they bring a lot of bodies into the box. And I don't think they run particularly well at corner. So maybe, hey, you get into some 12 to throw it, right? You condense them to, kind of expand your passing game.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I do think one more thing on the quarterback run game. If Navy does get to some of their 3 safety defense, give me some QB read run game because that middle safety, who is a very good player, laying the third, number 18, he's the quarterback player.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the field at about, 10 yards deep. You got to be able to create some things where Michael Hawkins Jr. is out on the edge of the defense in space one-on-one with that guy. And you got to win the battle. We'll see. But I would like to see one thing that Ben Arbuckle does a really nice job of, in my opinion, is just spreading defenses out to run it into a light box. Once again, I know he's not calling the plays, but you have to assume he's starting to weave some of his stuff in, right? I think that's a fair assumption.
I would be shocked if he's there in meetings, coaching the quarterbacks, and he has zero influence on the offense. That would be weird.
That would be very strange to me. Like he's now the rest of the offensive staff's boss. That's how it works.
I would be understandable if he wasn't coaching a position group and he was there as, just someone that was, watching, taking it in, evaluating all of that stuff. But whenever he's actively there and he's in the meetings and, they're going over game plan stuff, it would be strange that he doesn't have any influence at all.
He had some really good stuff where he just spread the defense out this year and ran it into light boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Some gap scheme stuff, just some zone stuff, some QB run game. So once again, with the situation at wide receiver and tight end, maybe that's a way to just create some space naturally and run the football into a light box. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I've got some past thoughts, some very detailed ones. I've spent Spent a lot of time watching Navy over the last couple days.
Okay, that's good.
But first, three things matter in banking: service, service, and service. And First Fidelity Bank's commitment to exceptional service is more than a promise, it's their foundation. FFB has been by your side for over a century, and they are honored to be a part of your journey. Banking isn't about where you've been, it's about where you are headed. Open an account at an award winning bank today at ffb.com. At First Fidelity Bank, we go where you go.
And head to the garage for hand smashed patties, butter toasted buns, and ice cold beer. It's the perfect spot to watch any big game. And with all the garage locations being open at 10 p.m. or later every night, it's the go-to late night spot. Visit eatatthegarage.com to find a location near you and order online from the garage in your neighborhood. Insurica's launched a new digital agency introducing Insurica Direct. Whether you're in Oklahoma or anywhere across the U.S., they've got you covered. From small business insurance and health insurance for your employees to insurance for individuals like home, auto, and even Medicare supplements. Insurica Direct's got it all. Start your journey today at insuricadirect.com. Remember, at Insurica, we specialize in you.
And head to opolisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's OPOLIS clothing.com, and use promo code TED, TED, for 10% off. That's opolisclothing.com. Promo code TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off.
And Lucy Breakers are 100% pure nicotine pouches with an extra burst of flavor, and you can get them delivered right to your front door. Go to lucy.co and use promo code breakdown at checkout for 20% off your first order. That's lucy.co and use promo code breakdown. My go-to Lucy Breakers are the espresso flavor, like them on a long drive or hanging out at the house, watching some football. No big deal. Lucy Breakers come in a variety of flavors, including the classic like mint, but they've also got the berry citrus, the espresso, my favorite, mango. You can even set up a subscription to make things even more convenient. Level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co, use promo code breakdown for 20% off your first order. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning.
Lucy contains nicotine. I forgot to put it on there. That's my bad. Lucy contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
If it's not on the teleprompter, I'm not going to get to it.
That was straight Ron Burgundy. We appreciate our friends at Lucy.
That's great.
Pass game thoughts. Pass protection should be good against Navy. Now, Justin Reed, number 94, he's their best pass rusher. I think he's got 5 sacks on the season. But Navy is not a team that generates a bunch of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. They don't have a bunch of twitched up guys rushing the passer. I will be really, really disappointed if OU has trouble giving Michael Hawkins Jr. good protection this game. And if there's one area I think Navy will say, let's see what they got, I think they will blitz their inside backers and test our running backs in pass protection.
Yeah.
They've got veteran guys that have played a ton of football at inside backer. Ramos is a really good player, all-conference player. They're going to want to see, they may test the durability of the running backs in pass protection. I could see them, and they like crossfire. That's their favorite blitz anyways. So we'll see, but I think the protection should be good. And I'm just going to be straight up about this. Deion Burks, if he doesn't have a good game against Navy, then what are we even talking about?
Yeah.
If he's a dude, he should have a day. He's getting paid well this season. He's going to get paid even more next season. I really like him as a player. I love his twitch. You got to go and ball out against Navy. This should be an 8 for 130 and a couple touchdowns situation for Deion Burks.
Batting practice.
He needs to ball out.
There's no more excuses. Like we should, I mean, I guess you never know, but the running game should have success. The protection should be there. there's really not any excuses left to not go out and have a big day in the passing game for Burks. And I'm also anxious to see how, like, if you've got some Arbuckle influence on how they use him. Do they line him up at a bunch of different places? Line him up in the backfield, use him all over the field.
Just get him the football quickly and allow him to go do his thing. That's one of the best things Ben Arbuckle did at Washington State with Kyle Williams. Just get the guy the ball. Get the guy the ball, get it in his hands quickly, and let him go be an athlete. I don't see any reason why Deion Burks can't do that against Navy. I would love to see Zion Reagans run by somebody. Navy does not run well at corner. I've said it a couple times now. They just don't. On tape, I've seen them get run by all kinds of different guys. East Carolina's guys were running by him. So we've heard so much about Reagans' speed through the entire year, and we started to see some glimpses of it late. Mm-hmm. It should show up in this game. He should be able to run by these guys, and you got to take some of those shots down the field. I will be disappointed if we don't see that. But and when those opportunities are there, you got to connect. Right? If Reagans does run by guys, you got to give him a chance.
Yep.
Ball's got to come his way. And that the same thing applies to Burks. If the guy gets open, you got to get him the football. Get open, you got to find him. So I think that those two guys in particular, but especially Burks, should be able to make some money in this game. And then once again, I know Arbuckle is not calling the plays, but one of the biggest differences between Ben Arbuckle's offense at Washington State and what we did this season was the way that Washington State attacked the middle of the field in the passing game. Will Michael Hawkins Jr. let it rip when it's there in the middle of the field? Ted, when Navy plays zone coverage, guess where the holes are?
Right there, inside backers and the hooks.
In between the hashes. In the middle of the zone coverage. Underneath zone coverage. And you're talking about that intermediate area that we always talk about. That 10 to 15-yard area. There are throws to be made. You have to anticipate it. Wide receivers have to shut it down and sit in those holes. And then the quarterback has to throw with confidence. Will they do it? I don't know, man. But the plays are there to be made. The holes will be there in the underneath zone coverage for Navy. And that's the thing. They're backers. They're not big, long guys. They're short, sawed-off guys.
Yeah.
So it's not like the zones are feeling small because they've got this great length and inside backer. That's not what Navy has. But wide receivers have to understand where they fit in those concepts, where to shut it down. Hawkins has to see it, anticipate it, and let it rip. And I would be ecstatic if we see that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's they're not going to see a whole lot of that on film, right? So if we find a way to hit run some over-under stuff, some high-low, some of the deep digs, some of the comeback stuff right there over the middle of the ball, there should be plenty of opportunity for it.
If we see mesh with the dig in behind it and Michael Hawkins throws it for like an 18-yard gain, I may cry.
We'll see it. We've run it a handful of times this year, but we've typically not been able to protect long enough to get the ball off there. So that hopefully that's not a problem in this game.
Only other thing pass game wise, just a pass pro thought. They don't have any guys that really jump off the tape as pass rushers. Their third and long looks, like their third and medium to third and long looks, they like to get linebackers walked up at the line of scrimmage and show you 5 up or 6 up. They'll do some twisting out of that. Like they'll get 3 defensive linemen to one side in those looks. And it's stuff that OU has seen this year. It should not be an issue. All it takes is good communication. Hey, what five do the offensive line have, and what are the running backs responsible for? Just communicate. It should be. I, I don't want to say it's simple, but it is. I mean, I don't know. That's really the only way to put it. Like it, they don't have some elaborate third and long rush package that
Right.
they don't really have anything to go to. They get their linebackers walked up. It's usually Ramos 44 up there, whether he's over the center or over a guard, maybe even on the edge. Like they get five or six up. Just talk to each other, and you should be able to pick it up.
Pretty straightforward.
What's the best case scenario for this game? What, OU runs for like 300 yards? Michael Hawkins Jr. delivers some explosive strikes.
Is maybe the best case scenario is that we pass for 300. I just lighten them
Yeah,
up through the air.
I sign me up for that. Sign me up for the pass protection looking really good and Michael Hawkins Jr. looking super confident and just throwing darts. Yes, I think out of all the things offensively that would make me feel good walking away from it, that would make me feel very, very good.
Unless I'm wrong, this should be the first game all season where the offensive line is 100% healthy. And I know it's going to look a little bit different with Howland and Ozida, but Tarquin was on the depth chart at right tackle, and Fabechi, Troy Everett. I mean, this group should have had a bunch of practices working together. We just haven't had that at all this year.
No. So I expect it to look pretty good.
I do
It's
too.
not going to be easy. Let me make that clear. Navy plays hard. They play with really good pad level at the point of attack. They're physical. They're disciplined. Shocker, I know. But this is a defense they should get after. I I don't know if you want to put a point total on it because it's hard with you don't know how many possessions you're going to get. But if OU doesn't score in the 30s, I'm going to be a little disappointed.
Best case scenario is you score on the first 2 or 3 drives, and the pressure's off the defense a little bit, and you can start giving them a taste of their own medicine and playing keep away from them and running the football, possessing it, slowing things down, letting the clock run. But I think if we run the football, and I expect that we will, I think the pass game stuff's going to be there for big explosive plays.
Do you want me to run through worst case scenario offensively real quick?
Absolutely.
Offensive line struggles to block Navy. Feels like the sky is falling. Hawkins turns the ball over multiple times. Tatum fumbles again. Burks has another quiet game. And then you could apply it to the defense side. Defense struggles to line up. They've just got free runners in the passing game, give up a couple easy touchdowns. That's
Missing
worst
tackles.
case.
Yep.
And of course, you lose the game. You lose to Navy. That's worst case.
Yep.
I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think the Sooners are going to go to Fort Worth and take care of business. I expect them to show up, be excited for the game, and to play well. That's what I expect.
I do too.
Now, does that mean they win by double digits? I don't know, man. It's hard to tell with bowl games. Bowl games, if you're betting on bowl games, you are an absolute degenerate. I kind of respect it, but I just I'm giving it. I just think they're going to show up and play well, or at least maybe that's just me hoping. I don't know.
I really think the matchup is actually fine for us. My hope is that it is a big confidence booster for the offensive line, for Mike Hawkins for the pass game, and the same thing defensively to be able to get lined up to an odd offense and put a really nice performance together to look to the future and say, hey, we're going to be able to manage this without Bowman and Stutzman and some of these older guys.
Well, you scared everyone with what you did, but now that was way better. Thank you.
Well, I'm just telling you what it is. I don't.
What do you want me to do? Lie to you?
Yeah, I think that the matchup is good as long as we're disciplined and communicate, get lined up properly.
When we were leaving the LSU game, when we were walking off the field, there was an OU fan that was yelling at me. And I just turned, I was like, "What's up, man?" He was like, "I don't like your podcast."
I remember you saying that.
And I went, "Okay, that's cool, man. Like, it may not be for everyone." And he goes, "You're too critical and you're too dramatic." And I just looked at the scoreboard and I went, "Okay, you're too tough on the offense." Okay.
The guy that doesn't like the podcast is most likely the guy that's never missed an episode.
Could be a little hate listening.
Yeah, that's right.
You think that guy's listening on Christmas Day? Maybe. I hope he is.
Of course. And we appreciate it.
Yes, we appreciate all of you. Merry Christmas. Excited to see how many OU fans go to the game. I expect a nice turnout from Sooner
Yep.
Nation.
Yep.
A lot of OU fans in the DFW area. So should be a lot of fun, Ted. I'm looking forward to it, buddy.
Me too. Should be a quick, easy trip. Weather's going to be nice. Going to be a fun game.
Just win.
Just win, baby.
Just win. Birthday shout outs. Happy 30th birthday to Peyton Henson.
Happy birthday, Peyton.
On that note, episode 486 in the books. Just so you know, Ted, the year of our Lord 2024, we have not missed an episode.
Yes.
I believe we will finish the year with 104.
Oh, really? Okay.
Last time I checked, there's 52 weeks in a year.
Impressive.
2 a week, every week.
It's impressive.
My mentality has always been relentless consistency with this thing. And look at us.
Look at us.
Appreciate all of you guys for listening. We will have a quick recap episode after the bowl game. So be on the lookout for that after the game. We'll probably record that the night after the game, and it'll be out that night, or you can, listen to it in the morning. But other than that, man, it has been what a year.
What a year.
Make sure you guys are subscribed to wherever you listen to the podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you check everything out at okbreakdown.com. Merry Christmas. Until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening. Do what you always do, Oklahoma. Take care of each other.